Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing the Honda Ridgeline to the Toyota Tacoma to see which mid-size pickup truck is best. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Ken Garf Honda in Orem and the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem for giving me some time with both of the trucks. I'll include a link to both their websites in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the Tacoma is a turbocharged 2.4-liter four-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 278 horsepower and then 317 pound-feet of torque. Now, powering the Ridgeline is a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 280 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the Tacoma, the new style on the Tacoma I think looks pretty sweet. So look at this headlight design and how it's all blacked out for the most part. We've got fog lights here. We do have an air dam, which does look a little bit dorky, but it serves a purpose. But yeah, the Tacoma has a traditional truck appearance, whereas the Ridgeline over here, you can see, kind of looks more like an SUV with the front end. And you know, a lot of that's because it shares a lot of components from the Passport, and the Pilot used to share with the Pilot, but the Pilot's been redesigned. Anyways, see the chrome trim here, little turn signal indicators there at the bottom, but yeah, there's the front ends. With the Tacoma, our turn wheel setup is 245/70/17 in the front and over in the rear. You can see with the wheels, you've got silver there, got these nice painted fenders, and then if we take a few steps back, here's your full side profile. Now the Tacoma has independent front suspension, and then it has a solid rear axle. It's gonna be hard to see here. We do have multi-link in the back. Now with the Ridgeline, our turn wheel setup is 245/60/18 in the front and over in the rear. And these wheels actually look pretty fancy. That's cool looking. And then you can see here with the little fender flares and then that bodywork. And then here is the full side profile. Now with the Ridgeline, it has independent front and rear suspension. Now, being trucks, beds are very important, so the Tacoma has a tailgate that is dampened, which is nice. You can see this has protection from the factory already. We've got LED lights as well. But yeah, I mean, this has a pretty decent sized bed for a pickup truck. Tailgate's very light. You guys can see all the rest of the badges and everything here on the back. And then I like the new taillights, those are pretty cool looking. But there is the rear of the Tacoma, and this is the point where I'll mention the Tacoma, body on frame. And then with the Ridgeline, it has an interesting tailgate. So you can just take it down. It does not dampen, so you do have to kind of lower it yourself. But anyways, you got protection here in the bed as well. Something I'm noticing is the bed sits a little bit higher in the Ridgeline. You know, the space from here to here, it's a little bit less. But the cool part about the Ridgeline is lift that up, and you got a handle here. You can open this up like a swing gate, and then you have a little trunk here in the back. So that's cool. We got the spare tire back there as well. So instead of having the spare tire in an area where it's going to get covered in mud, if you go off road, it's there, which is definitely nice. And then this is just easy to click into place. You can see exhaust tips, all of that, Ridgeline there on the back. And then this is where I say the Ridgeline unibody. Now, legroom here in the Ridgeline, I think is pretty solid. You got a little storage pocket, like this kind with the door panel. This is not soft touch, only this part is, if you're wondering. But speaking of soft touch, look at these seats. Perforated all down the center portion, really nice trim. And then we have a cup holder armrest, and then headroom back here. It's good. Now in the Tacoma, I feel like I'm kind of sitting in a little bit more of an awkward position, just slightly, but it's not uncomfortable. Got a little storage pocket here, so the cup holders, all that. Cloth seats in the Tacoma here, and then the door panel, same thing as Ridgeline. Actually, no, this is not soft touch. Never mind. Hard touch there with the door panel in the back. But anyways, headroom, it's good. And starting her up. Ooh. Let's go over payload quickly. So we have payload capacity of 1,477 pounds, which is quite impressive. Closing this, soft touch here at the top and down below. Those front two windows are automatic. Got blind spot monitoring with the mirrors, memory seats, and then we got stuff for our lane departure, collision assistance, all of that. And then look at this. Nice trim around the steering wheel, paddle shifters there. You got adaptive cruise control. And then gauge cluster here. It's kind of Honda's newer unit, but basically you can see different bits of information on the side, so we can see fuel range and all of that. And then in reverse, just a regular backup camera, trajectory and start with the steering wheel. And then infotainment system, this is newer for the Ridgeline, but quick response time with it, easy enough to use, has some physical buttons. Tri-zone climate, and the Ridgeline benefit of being built off of an SUV, so it's pretty cool. And then we've got some heated seats, charging area, and then this is interesting, the transmission select, and then this is the drive mode select, basically mostly for the all-wheel drive system, depending on the conditions. And we have a big center console, nice trim here on the top, and then we got a glove box there, and then we do actually have a sunroof, which is nice, and then power sliding window. I of course was pressing the button wrong, so there's your power sliding window, and that's all. So window's darker, so it's kind of hard to see, but Ridgeline RTL MSRP $43,975. And start up the Tacoma. Ooh. So starting with payload, it is 1,200 pounds. And then with this door panel, it's soft touch just here. And then you can see with the mirror adjustments, blind spot running with the mirrors, just like the Honda. And then you have some controls here on the side. And look at this steering wheel, pretty beefy. I got adaptive cruise control, and then notice with the gauge cluster, digital with certain, well actually it looks like the whole thing, even those side screens, they just kind of separated it a little bit. But you can see different bits of information. And then we got a backup camera here, trajectory on turn with the steering wheel. And then this is towards newer unit. Their infotainment system really doesn't change. It just gets bigger or smaller depending on the vehicle that it's in. But the format is the same. And then single zone climate, we do have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, which is nice. Trailer brake controls as well. And then we've got this phone charging pad, shifter here for that 8-speed. And then we've got a traditional 2-speed transfer case. So the Honda, right, just all-wheel drive like most crossovers. This though, you know, 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low. Got some cup holders, storage like this. This is pretty cool. And then we got a glove box, which is nice. Oops. Anywho, more storage above the glove box, and then we do have the power sliding window in this as well. No sunroof. Here's the window sticker for the Tacoma. Total MSRP $46,589, and well, let's see which one drives the best. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility of the hood, both the mirrors, dual blind spot running with the rest of the rear. And Tacoma away. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments talking about how the Ridgeline's not a real truck and this comparison doesn't make any sense, yada 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 yada. The Ridgeline has a truck bed and it's got more payload than the Tacoma. So if the Ridgeline's not a truck, even though it's not body on frame, I know that's a big argument that everyone makes, it's just as much of a truck as the Tacoma when it comes to important truck stuff. Bed, payload, okay? Anywho, seats are comfortable in the new Tacoma. We'll say that. I feel like the new Tacoma is kind of growing on me. Great torque out of the 4-cylinder. Be interesting to see how that compares to the V6 and the Ridgeline. Ridgeline's down on torque, but pretty much the same horsepower, right? 2 horsepower difference between the two. And, you know, being a naturally aspirated engine, that's going to kind of have more of an immediate effect when it comes to response. But yeah, suspension's pretty comfortable in the Tacoma. It does, like, I need to say this in this comparison, because the vehicles we're comparing, the Tacoma feels like a truck. I'm not saying that as a bad thing whatsoever. It's just the fact that, yeah, it feels like a truck. It's got that body on frame feeling, so, you know, sometimes things kind of transfer through. It doesn't have that planted feel you get in a unibody vehicle, which maybe is not the best for on-road, but it's far superior off-road, because you don't want to feel everything when you're off-road, because then your spine gets all jittery and it's not a pleasant or a comfortable experience whatsoever. nice drive. It's a nice drive. Steering is light. It's easy to use. Yeah, great torque out of this engine. Great torque out of this engine. Really is a wonderful powertrain. So some things up with the Tacoma. This objectively, oh, this one has the speaker, removable speaker. Anyways, objectively, this drives better than the previous gen Tacoma because it's got a better transmission, right? You don't have the gear hunting, and it's got as much horsepower, but then has more torque with this standard powertrain. So just a better performer overall. And so, yeah, and it drives like a truck. Still feels like you're driving a pickup truck. So let's go drive the Ridgeline and see how it compares. Let's talk about visibility in the Ridgeline. The hood, both the mirrors. Turn out the rest of the rear. And Ridgeline, what are you beeping at me for? Ridgeline away. So right off the bat, it feels like you're driving a car versus a truck because of the unibody construction and also because of the independent suspension. It really does change things quite substantially. Now, aside from that, engine doesn't have that same turbo push that you get out of the Tacoma, but it's smooth. It's very smooth. Ride quality is definitely, even over bumps on road. Again, off-road, body and frame's always best with it's basically how it works is big compression, body and frame does better. Little compression, unibody typically does better. Of course, depending on wheel size and all that, and suspension travel, but just generally speaking. But not bad. I mean, it's a smooth ride. Suspension's nice and comfy. It's easy to drive too. But yeah, it is a completely different experience. So again, the Tacoma, you do feel like you're driving a real truck. This, you literally could forget that you are in a pickup truck. You could just go, hey, yeah, I'm just driving a car. And then you look and you go, I got a truck bed. Which I don't think is a bad thing. Again, the comfort you get and the fact that it feels like a smaller vehicle, so it feels easier to maneuver and all of that. But I mean, looking at them side by side, they're not really all that different in terms of the size. Tacoma's sat a little bit taller though. Yeah, much more car-like. That is for sure. Again, it doesn't have that turbo push, but it's got that naturally aspirated, just kind of like build up of power. It's really smooth, really nice. So again, I would say it's a very pleasant experience. So, capping things off with this comparison, Tacoma versus Ridgeline. I know I'm going to get people on two camps. There's going to be people on the Ridgeline camp that are going to be all about practicality. They're going to be like, payload's higher, it's more comfortable, it's more affordable. And there's going to be people, not real truck. No body on frame, no solid rear axle, not real truck, right? You're going to have those people. So, whatever team you're on, I guess let us know in the comment section below. But I think that for a lot of people, I mean, it depends what you're going to use it for. Like, if you're going to do off-roading, yeah, objectively, the Tacoma is going to be kind of better for that route. But if you're just going to be going to Home Depot every so often, you're mostly going to be daily driving it, drive one of the Ridgelines. I think that you'll be shocked with how much you like it based on the comfort, how easy it is to drive, the size, everything, and the utility of it. I think you'll be surprised how much you like it, and then you'll finally leave the camp of, not real truck, right? So I'll see you guys.